It's Daybreak on Arise News, and it's time for the press review. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. We begin with our sister publication this day, and it says President Muhammadu Buhari has said El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, is writing his history in letters of gold. Vows never to let anyone impose himself on Nigerians. And above the nameplate, NEC, fuel subsidy stays for now, but may be removed before year end. Says petrol costs 100% more in neighboring countries. Reveals that 2 trillion naira spent on subsidy in 2021. Accuses NNPC of failing to fund FAC to the tune of 200 billion naira monthly in that same year. Let's look at one more story on the front page of this day. Abdusalami, Nigeria at crossroads, insists nation is bleeding. That's a copy of the front page of this day this morning.
In the Punch newspaper, Abdusalami, workers warn the government as the National Executive Council decides subsidy removal in June. Petrol price hike will push more Nigerians deeper into poverty, warns the ex-head of state. Reps order probe of allegedly missing 178,459 police arms. Electoral Act faces delay at National Assembly, harmonization yet to start. And on page 19, Port Harcourt Refinery projects 3.96 billion litres of petrol annually, and that's according to a report.
Well, the nation is also leading with the petrol subsidy story. According to the National Economic Council, subsidy can't continue beyond June. Decision on pump price belongs to NNPC. No going back on January 27 protest, says the Nigeria Labour Congress.
In the Sun newspaper, federal government to decide fuel subsidy removal June. Petrol price hike will force more Nigerians into poverty. That's according to the former president Abdul Salami. How I escaped death from bomb attack in Kaduna. President Buhari telling tales in that state. And Imo government to Senator Okorocha, you're haunted by innocent blood spilt during your tenure. And Udom guarantees 4.7 billion naira Zenith bank loan to automobile plant.
Well, The Guardian has the headline, Petrol may sell for 403 naira per litre as governors engage Labour. It's also reporting that the Abdusalami, former head of state, is warning the federal government to prepare for uprising, worse than #EndSARS if they hike fuel price.
Moving on now to the international papers. The Times, Tory rebels retaliate in row over blackmail.
In the Daily Express, the Chancellor is said to be considering a plan to offer £500 payouts to help people with energy bills.
This is The Guardian. Tories using dirty tactics to get MPs to back Johnson.
Well, the Daily Telegraph says that some schools are still telling pupils they need to wear masks, contradicting the government's instruction that they can stop as of today. And
the Daily Mail, Boris wants civil servants to set example and return to the workplace. Unions at war with the Prime Minister over back to office order.
Well, the Financial Times is reporting that the Ukrainian president has taken offense after President Joe Biden suggested the U.S. would get involved if Russian movement into Ukraine turned out to be a minor incursion.
And for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello. Good morning, Emmanuel. Starting off with this day newspaper, that one at the top, the National Executive Council met and they said fuel subsidy stays for now, but may be removed before year end. Meanwhile, the former military president, Abdul Salami Abubakar, is warning, don't take out the subsidy. Which way do we turn?
Good morning. It's actually a very distressing story, and it's even more distressing with the way the former president is putting it. And he has figures and statistics to back his claim, saying that, look, there is going to be more suffering. He's just articulating at that highest level what most of us have feared, that if you take out this subsidy, the crisis of the current poverty rate will of course increase. So he's painting in those pictures. And then of course, again, this is not even helped by the kind of cloudy way the government is handling the information around the issue of the subsidy. Remember that Lawan, the Senate President Lawan, the other day said that, look, he's just coming from the president and that the president has not ordered anyone to take out the subsidy. That was a bit confusing because the finance minister, as late as last year, had said that, look, there won't be subsidies this year. In fact, some people were bracing up for that at the early part of the year, maybe January even, but there was some kind of confusion. Again, it was noted that it's sometime in the middle of the year. But they're coming out yesterday with two governors weighing on it, the governor of Nasarawa State, saying that, look, the plans are for now for June. So we now seem to have a date. So it's a case of just postponing the evil day, if you wish, but clearly that is the date when subsidies will be taken out, and then Nigerians will be faced with the stark reality of buying this fuel at a non-subsidized amount. And those who are not in favor of this, especially like the former president, saying that, look, this will just jack up the suffering in the land. But don't forget that proponents of the removal of fuel subsidy will tell you that it's the best economic policy push so far, and that you will need those monies. You will need those monies to cushion the other areas of the economy. Even government assuring Nigerians that, look, you will not suffer. We will do everything. We will subsidize transportation. We'll give us the stipends at the end of the month. 40 million Nigerians to enjoy some 5,000 a day. Government trying to sell that policy, but a lot of people, including Labour, saying we're not buying. And now we all have to, the countdown to June begins. Let's see how we'll be able to, accept or reject these policies. Of course, Labour already saying that it's going to stage all sorts of protests to resist it.
So it's just kicking the can down the road, Emmanuel Bello. But when you have a figure like Abdulsalami weighing on the matter of subsidy, what's likely to be the reaction from the Buhari administration? I mean, Labour says it is ready for a showdown. Abdulsalami says you will see a protest worse than #EndSARS protest. How are they likely to respond to this?
Well, I'll let them do their job, but certainly we're going to hear all sorts of things. The federal government has been clear about the issue of subsidies. They working with some economists and even some financial commentators outside government continuously tell you that you need to remove those subsidies and that they are not helping anyone. That you need those huge amounts, to channel to other parts. Aspect of the economy, and that no one is actually benefiting, not even the people that are seem to be benefiting from it. And then, of course, the other arguments, even by government, that look, elsewhere around us, people are paying more for fuel, 100% more than what we're paying here. So all sort of things, and that now NNPC is running like a public company practically. So you need to remove those subsidies. So that these things can work effectively. So government seem to have a rigid position already on the issue of subsidy, and Labour, on the other hand, with well-meaning Nigerians saying that, look, you have to also have some kind of human face to a policy designed to actually deal with a particular issue, but that, look, you have to also look at the human angle, the suffering. You can imagine what will happen if we have to go and buy fuel at what the Guardian newspaper is reporting at 400 and something naira, now that you're buying at 100 and something naira. So it's those are the crises that some people are pointing out, with government rigidly thinking that it has its plan in place already.
And Emmanuel, with 2023, the race is on. The APC chieftain, Bola Tinubu, was in Niger State. He donated about 50 million naira to the state government to help it fight insecurity. Meanwhile, Northeast APC legislators are backing Yahaya Bello of Kogi State. This is the second group of lawmakers. The first were those from the North Central region. It looks like Yahaya Bello is making big moves for the top job, is he?
He's making those moves, and Tinubu too is a late entrant, so to speak, compared to Yahaya Bello, who's been there all along, with groups especially youth groups, and now we have he's getting some serious backers from these stories that we are hearing. But Tinubu too making a lot of push. I think it's quite striking and extraordinary that the governor of Niger State said, look, what you did in Lagos, go replicate it in Abuja. That was quite very significant, because, I mean, he's pointing to records. Those supporting Yahya Bello may have to also go into showing us records and convincing us why they think he should be a president. Those speaking for Tinubu seem to be pointing to some form of records and, already some form of template of progress elsewhere where Tinubu had actually worked real hard. But then you had the president yesterday too in Kaduna saying that, look, no one will be imposed on Nigerians, and that he's going to ensure that only the best, he's going to midwife a transition that will see us getting the best of hand. This is when he was pressing El-Rufai too, and saying that, and again, talking about records, the president seemed to be all about records himself, saying, look, El-Rufai did this. I couldn't even find my way around Kaduna because of the things that El-Rufai did. So as these politicians are pushing around the country, some of them are pointing to clear-cut records of what they've done, their pedigree, and saying, I've done this, I can do it, I can replicate it elsewhere, I can do it on a larger scale. So, and that's a very positive thing. We need to be helping as we report these stories that, look, people are pointing to records, because it's very important that anybody that is going to do anything here in Abuja must point to what they've done back home or elsewhere, maybe in their private life, in private businesses, or when they had the opportunities to do it. So this is the time to tax record, to fact check on claims, and to actually critique or look at those people wanting to run this country, and asking ourselves the questions on what they've done before and what they can do again.
Indeed. Emmanuel, if we can very quickly, let's touch on the international scene. Financial Times. President Biden has had to clarify his statement about minor incursion into Ukraine. And of course, the president of Ukraine took offense to that, saying there is no small country and there are no minor casualties when it comes to war. What do you think? I mean, the United Nations Secretary General has come out to say he doesn't think Russia will invade Ukraine, but that's not what Biden thinks. President Biden thinks that Russia will actually invade Ukraine. What is likely to happen there? What are your thoughts?
Well, but I also thought that was quite some extraordinary that the president would just say that off the cuff, almost, when he was taking questions from his briefing, his first year in office briefing, and saying that, well, if there are those minor incursions, but if you listen to Biden, he's so clear about it. In fact, in that press briefing, it was very clear that, look, Russia is going to invade Ukraine, and pointing to even the telltale sign, but also talking tough that if anything like that happens, they are going to weigh in. Of course, that didn't go down immediately, almost immediately, with the Ukrainian leadership that came out so strongly to say those things that, look, and one of their biggest ally, of course, is the United States, working with the NATO, the countries around them, to protect Ukraine. And the president saying there are no small countries, of course, no small incursion. So all eyes are on these talks. More dialogues are going on. I think there's going to be more talks today between Russian leadership and that of the United States. But it's an interesting story, a developing one. And as little as it looks, it's at the heart of all the crises that's always existed between Russia and the United States, and of course the battle between the West and that part of the world. So it's going to be interesting to see whether more diplomacy will solve this problem. But of course, it's really a challenge for diplomacy, for leadership on both sides, and for clear, straight talk between the two leaders, the Russian leader and United States, on how they intend to go about the crisis of Ukraine. But as it is, of course, the stage is set, and it seems likely to re-echo Biden that, look, Russia is actually thinking of invading. But more talks, and we're going to see maybe the supremacy or the triumph of diplomacy in these talks.
Very brilliant, Emmanuel.